All right, so today's topic is going to be how muscle actually grows and why you're probably leaving gains on the gym floor. So, more times than not, I hear from a lot of people that's going to say, oh, I know how to work out, right? I just need a workout plan or, this, that, and the third, or I just need a nutritional plan, right? I already know how to work out. But in reality, my grandma knows how to work out, but she doesn't properly know how to train, and that's where the education gap is kind of bridged at that point. So today we're going to go over how muscle actually grows, so you can get a better understanding of that and apply it to your training. So, what actually triggers muscle growth? Muscle is going to grow in response to a stimulus that you place upon it while you work out. But not just any lifting will simply do the trick. You cannot go into the gym and just do whatever that you want to do, have no structure, have no intensity behind it. If you go and grab a 5 pound dumbbell and press it for 10 times and put it back on the rack, that's going to equate to no muscle growth. You essentially just exerted yourself and burned calories, right? So there has to be some intention behind it and a stimulus to make the muscle grow, if that makes sense. So the primary driver always, always, always is mechanical tension. And now there are going to be two other factors that accompany mechanical tension, kind of as like an I don't want to say an afterthought, but like and maybe not even a side effect, but like a tag along. Once mechanical tension is created, you're going to then have metabolic stress and muscle damage, which is going to be localized to that area that you're training specifically. But mechanical tension is going to be king. You cannot grow without it. And so your next question is, well, what is mechanical tension? Mechanical tension is the actual pulling force inside your muscle fibers when you are lifting weights. So this is created when you train in close proximity to failure. So with that being said, how you can achieve mechanical tension is training in close proximity to failure, right? Now this can happen at both heavy loads, like a 1 rep max, upwards to like 5 reps, somewhere in there. Then moderate loads, let's say a 6 to 12-ish reps, and then anything higher than that, 15 plus light loads. This can happen across all of those rep ranges. What really makes the muscle grow, though, like really what makes it count is those later reps in a hard set is what does the most work and makes the muscle grow. This is why training to mild discomfort, which if you are on social media any of these days, like one big topic, or maybe it's like a buzzword, and it's people that train to mild discomfort. Essentially, it's um, kind of giving people who just barely train, just when they get a little bit discomforting, they stop. Right, that's training to mild discomfort. If you train with that mindset, you'll never get the big hypertrophy gains that you want. So if you're doing a bench press, right, and you get to rep 7 and that starts to hurt a little bit, maybe one more rep racket, that's training to mild discomfort, right? You're not anywhere close to failure at that point. And so, how do you actually produce that mechanical tension? So, if you think about a muscle flexing, right? Like if we flex our bicep, we grab our fist, we squeeze it, and we squeeze the bicep, and that makes the muscle flex, right? Well, muscles don't actually flex. What they do is they shorten when tiny fibers slide across each other. And this is known as the sliding filament theory. So inside of your muscles, you have actin and myosin. Actin's right here, myosin is right here, and they pull together kind of like Velcro, and that's what gives that muscle that shortened look. Right, that's the flex that you see. This then shortens this sarcomere, which is full of these actin and myosins, and then this elastic filament tighten or titin, whatever they call it. And then from there, this shortens all of them together. That creates the sarcomere. That's the flex that you see, and hence the sliding filament theory is what comes into play there. Um, and so if we look at what um, we talk about reps, reps 1 to 5, 6 to 12, 12 to 15 plus, right? Um, the later end of those sets and those reps that need to be as difficult as you can make them and taken too close proximity to failure as you can. So not all reps are going to be created equal. Growth happens when those final reps start to get very stimulating. I mean, if you're doing a squat and your max is 225 for 10 reps, you know that rep one and rep 10 are two drastically different things. One of them is drastically easier, while the other one you're seeing black stars, and you don't know if you're going to make it out of the bottom of this squat or not. The set has to be hard enough to recruit all the fibers. This is why proximity to failure is important. And then this goes without saying too, like you don't need 10 actual sets to get this result, to get that mechanical tension in motion. You just need effective ones. This is like using the analogy that I've used several times. It's like if you go into your kitchen and you cut the light switch on. To keep that light on, you don't keep just, pushing the light switch up. It's already flipped up, right? There is no need for you to keep going over there and pushing the switch up. For one, it's not going to go up any higher, and two, it's not making the light stay on. The light's going to be on until you turn the switch off, right? It's the same with muscle growth. And once you go into the gym and you create that adaptation, create that stimulus for growth, that light switch is flipped up. Whether that happens after one hard set, three hard sets. I doubt it needs 10 hard sets, but once you get that stimulus created, you're done. There is no need to keep, flipping that up. So if I see, guys in the gym that are, on like a chest day, they're doing five exercises, 3 to 4 sets at a time. That's 15 to 20 sets that they're doing. God knows how many reps it is. They probably stimulated the muscle and created that stimulus within the first 3 or 4 sets, right? And so essentially they just did 10 additional sets of just voluminous work and just digging themselves deeper into a hole, right? And this is going to look different for everybody. Like there is no magical number of, all right, it's just 1 set or it's 3 sets or it's 10 sets. Everybody's going to be different on this aspect. But the closer that you train in proximity to failure, the lower that number of sets is gonna be. And so, as we mentioned earlier, there are kind of two things that accompany mechanical tension, right? And as we know, mechanical tension is the primary driver for growth, but two other things are going to contribute to that. So, number one, you have mechanical stress. This is the burn, the lactate buildup. Like if you do a leg day and your legs are like, very, very sore under the touch. This is what metabolic stress is. All of this is going to accompany taking those sets, taking the muscle to mechanical failure or with mechanical tension, right? And then you're going to have muscle damage. This is going to be soreness from the eccentric parts of the lift. Now, too much of either one of these can cause fatigue without more growth. So, like, if you're on a leg press and you do, 2 or 3 sets and your legs are just stupid pumped up, like they're hurting to the touch and you're touching them, and it hurts. And then like 4, 5, 6 days after this, like you're still like, oh my God, I can't sit on the toilet without my legs hurting. This is causing too much fatigue, right? That may be a cause to back off a little bit and kind of, reevaluate. Number one, where's your recovery at post leg day? And if it's adequate, then number two, you may just be doing too much to where you have flipped that light switch on and you're just continuing to push it up, up, and up, and it doesn't need to have that happen. And so this leads into how does fatigue actually affect training? So fatigue isn't just a feeling as far as like, oh, I'm tired, I'm fatigued. That's not the same thing. It's how much of your ability to perform is reduced. So if you have too much fatigue, you're going to obviously have lower quality workouts. That fatigue is going to affect how fast and how hard those muscle contractions can be, which will then, limit how much output, how much force so that you can use to, lift a certain weight. If you've ever tried to work out when you're dead dog, absolutely tired, you know that you're not as strong as you typically are, right? Because your muscle contractions aren't as strong and as hard as they are if you're fully rested and recovered, right? So you need to manage fatigue to keep growing efficiently, and like all of this, kind of ties in together, right? It's a fine line to walk. once you create that mechanical tension, if you go too far, then you're digging yourself a deeper hole in fatigue, in recovery. And then if you don't do enough of mechanical tension, then you're not growing muscle. So it's really a fine line to walk. But it's once you find what that line for you is to walk, and I can't tell you, your neighbor can't tell you, your personal trainer at the gym can't tell you. Like it's I don't want to say it's a feeling, but in essence it is. But it just kind of takes time to get there and to understand how much that your body actually needs to grow. But you also have to use objective data points as well too. If you're a female and trying to grow some big glutes, and you're doing 6 sets on a glute day, and you're getting after it, you're going to mechanical failure each and every time. Like you're really in, close proximity to failure, and you're not growing, and you're only sleeping, 2, 3 hours a night. Well, we know that your recovery isn't where it needs to be to facilitate that growth. If you're doing those 6 sets and you're nowhere close to failure, then we know, hey, it's not a case of I need more sets. It's I need more stimulating reps on the backside of those three sets. So again, it's kind of a fine line to walk for everybody. But if you're looking at, how to program a workout plan for growth in a very basic, simplistic, broken down manner, smart programming is going to create just enough tension, mechanical tension, without burning you out. Again, it's that fine line to walk. How much do you need to get you over the threshold to achieve that mechanical tension, to create that adaptation? But once you get over the edge, you don't have to keep pushing it. And if you do, again, that's when the fatigue pops up. It's kind of like, here's another example. If you're, pushing a car up to the top of the hill, and once it gets to the top and it goes over the edge, you don't have to keep running with the car and keep pushing it. It's going to go downhill, right? It's kind of the same thing. Once you reach that mechanical tension and it goes over the edge and goes, you don't have to keep doing another set, doing 2 more sets, 5 more sets. It's already going in the direction that it needs to be going, right? So at that point, get out, get home, recover, refuel, things of that nature. So if we're looking at volume, how many hard sets spread out across the week with your intensity, how close to failure are you actually going? Frequency, like how often do you hit each muscle? If you're trying to grow your chest and you're only hitting it 1 time a week, well, then you're probably not going to see the growth that you want to see, because the frequency is just not there. And then exercise selection and tempo. Everybody knows that a squat is probably the first thing that you think about when you think of leg day, right? For me, I have not done a barbell squat in God knows how long. So again, like this kind of boils down to I don't really feel the tension in my quads where I need to feel it in the barbell squat as opposed to a hack squat or a leg press. So again, this exercise selection for me is, and really, everybody else is going to be critical, because if you can't feel the muscle that you're working, I don't care if you're the strongest man alive, you're essentially just moving weight to move weight. So again, all of these are very important to achieve that mechanical tension as well too. And so, final takeaway, the biggest thing though is stop chasing a pump, or stop chasing soreness. People like to go in the gym, do just enough, do just enough bicep curls to get that peak contraction, to get all the veins popping out, and they go take a picture, and then their workout sucks, or it's just over at that point. Or they took a picture for the gram, right, and they're out of there. Or they train until they're absolutely wrecked. Their soreness is through the roof, and they think that they've done something, but in reality, they're digging themselves deeper into a hole. So it's not about just chasing a pump or chasing soreness. It's somewhere in between here. You got to find that mechanical tension to the point of it's the tipping point, and then once that fatigue starts to stack up, that at that point you know when to pull back. Start chasing quality stimulus. There is no need to, like I said, I would rather you do 3 hard sets of something and get a great stimulus out of it than do 10 half-ass sets and get nothing out of it, essentially. So we all know Hard sets close to failure is going to equal in growth. Properly managed fatigue is going to give us growth. And the number one growth factor of all is mechanical tension. If you don't have these three here, your likelihood of growing as much tissue as you want is going to be greatly diminished by each one of these that you do not have. So, with that being said, that is all that I have for you guys today. Mechanical tension and training to failure is definitely an acquired skill. It's taken me years to get to the point to where I feel comfortable and out loud saying that I know how to train to failure because for years I thought that I did until I actually started training to failure. Um, so yeah, so don't think that you're going to be somebody who comes in here, into the gym first, a 1 or 2 year individual and just automatically know how to train a failure because you may think that you're training a failure, but I guarantee you if somebody puts their hand on that hack squat and does not let you rack it until you get five more, you'll probably get five more when you thought that that's all that you had. So again, all of this is kind of an acquired skill. Again, it just takes time, but like anything else, to get good at something, just got to practice. So just make sure when you do take those sets in close proximity to failure, that number one is done safely, and you're just giving as much effort as you possibly can. So.